Welcome back to Coast, West Coast Health, high and high performance, westcoasthealth.com.au. Tex and the team come to see them here at Mineral Resources Park. Well, we're back on our feet after, unfortunately, our third straight loss. Hammer Brayshaw is here after a narrow defeat to Swan Districts in the Waffle Eagles. And Oscar Allen is here after a disappointing Monday night defeat to North Melbourne. Boys, welcome.
Yep, Goss, good to be back and in the radio studio for the first time in a month and a bit.
It feels good. It feels like we're back to our old roots, but as you did touch on, disappointing weekend. I went to the Waffle game and the boys were very, very good. Yeah. Just went down, and obviously I actually thought it was an improvement from the last 2 weeks, but we didn't take our chances in the first half when it was quite wet, and they were a bit tougher than us in the second half, so we're again, disappointed. Got
a lot to get through, boys, on this run sheet, which has been put together by Thumpalicious.
Thanks, Thump.
Don't we ever.
Appreciate it, mate.
2 back-to-back double-sided pages.
You know what I love? We can now talk over the top of each other.
Yeah,
so for those listening at home, we were on Zoom, and if we're both talking at the same time, then the audio is awful. But now Hamish can interrupt me.
I can just yell at Oz.
And yell over the top of me, and you guys are thinking, well, this sounds okay.
Sounds like a normal conversation.
We've got to be quick, too. I've got to go to the dentist.
Once again.
It was worth going.
Chompers.
Excellent.
Let's just talk about the disappointment of it, because it's invaded our socials, the Ask Simo segment. It's everyone's piling in. Oscar, can I just say, did you feel like it was an improved effort?
100%. Yep, I did feel like it was a big improved effort. We've changed a couple things around the way we've been playing, and I thought it actually wasn't too bad. We just didn't capitalise, as I mentioned earlier in the first half. What did we kick? 3 goals, 10 or something like that. And from then on out, we probably weren't able to get the supply we wanted in the second half. And overall, as I said, incredibly disappointing. And I understand why there is a lot of feedback on social media. We have high expectations for ourselves, as others do for us. But stay with us. We'll be back on the horse this week, and we're expecting, again, another better effort.
Big 2 in Adelaide, and we'll hear from Nick Nat, of course, game 200. That is on the way. Just your observation of watching the game, huh?
It was certainly a better improved performance than the last 2 weeks. I mean, what did we lose? 90-something points against Sydney. And this was close. I thought we had our chances to win. You know, North Melbourne played a good brand of footy. They were tough. They sort of played the games on their own terms, which was what they obviously wanted to do, coming over to Optus, and sort of dragged us into it. But I thought it was a much better performance. We probably should have won. I thought we missed our chances early in the first half, and then couldn't really arrest that momentum back in the second. But again, that's just footy. Sometimes things happen, and you got to bounce back and go again.
North Melbourne's first top 8 scalp and first victory of the year, and first victory in WA since 2014. Of course, just post game in the rooms, Oscar, the general feeling, everyone gets disappointed with a loss and the like. But was there any buoyancy in the group? Did you walk away from it going, "Oh, we just let that one slip," or we got something to build on? What was the general messaging?
No, there was no buoyancy whatsoever. We were really disappointed. It's the only word that can really come to mind when thinking about it. We had some open discussions, which is something that we need to do as a team to try and figure out what is going wrong on game day. So we had some honest chats and conversations, and I think we'll definitely grow from what happened on the weekend. And there's still 6 rounds, and we're hoping plus finals left. So there's a lot of this footy season to come, and things can turn around really quickly in the footy industry, and we're working hard so we can turn it around. We know it's not just going to happen. We have to make it happen.
And for those listening at home, a lot of people have been quick to jump on and write the Eagles off. I mean, I seriously do think that it has been an abnormal 3 weeks. I don't think this is going to be a pattern going forward. And I think if, there's a couple of teams that I think, Richmond aren't playing great footy. I think they can turn it around on a dime, and I think we're another team that if we can get things to click, we're still a very, very good team. You got great players, you got great depth, and I think I think you will learn a lot from this going forward. I think in your career, this would be the first time you've lost 3 games in a row. I think
we lost 3 games in a row last year as well.
Start of the hub.
So the start of the hub last year, we lost 3 games in a row. But I'd say this is the biggest slump I think we've been in at my time in the club. And probably the most external adversity we've faced.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Which we're doing a pretty good job, I think, of blocking that out, because it's out of our control what people say about us. But I'm interested in your thoughts.
Yep.
This year, it seems like it's a very open season. Probably, I think you've got a top 6 right now, and that's pretty clear. And within that 6, I think you've got, with no disrespect to any of the teams, you've probably got a 4 or a 5, depending how you split it. And then probably Sydney is the 6th best team in the comp.
Yep.
And then after that, it's a pretty even competition.
Yeah, no question. I mean, from, from 7 to 12, there might be a game in it or there or thereabouts. And everyone's, the percentages are right there. It's all pretty tight. And I mean, even up top, I think Melbourne and Western Bulldogs a breakaway. You got Brisbane, you got Geelong, and then it is a very, very tight competition. But as I was just saying before, on a dime, I think West Coast is a team that can turn it around and beat any one of those teams on their day. So, I mean, don't be quick to write us off. Is all I'm saying. You've been a champion team for a long, long time, and I don't think with the caliber of players and leaders in this team, in this group, and you can attest to this, Oz. I mean, Nick's playing his 200th this weekend. Bunga's not far off his another big milestone. There's a lot of leadership and depth in this team that has been through a lot in football, a lot of ups and downs, and I think we'll be able to bring it back. Yeah,
absolutely. 100% agree with that point.
The pylon is quick though, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Blokes calling for blokes to retire, be dropped, Adam Simpson under pressure. Everyone's looking for a headline. And, as a media man, I sort of get it. But it's almost like there's a dine-out factor on West Coast failings.
Well, I mean, my opinion on that is in my time in Perth, it's been very much West Coast up top and then Freo down the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
The media can't say much bad things about Freo at the moment because they're playing good footy.
Yep.
And so they've just, if there's only 2 teams in WA and you've got to jump on someone, and, it unfortunately just happens to be West Coast. But I mean, we were away, thankfully, for the last 3 games we lost in the hub. But, it is just all aboard, sacking people, dropping people, shift veterans, the rest of it. Like, come on.
It's really intriguing that we're either premiership favourites or we're the worst team in the history of the sport. And there's no wiggle room, I understand that's the way, and hyperbole is a big thing in the media because you want the best headline, you want the best story to be written, but sometimes it just is what it is. Teams aren't as good as you think they are, and they're also not as bad as what you think they are either.
Mm. Yep, good way of looking at it. Now, there was just over 30,000 there on Monday night, and it was played on Monday to give more people opportunities, and then the world caved in weather-wise. It was coming in sideways. It was wet. North Melbourne were out on the ground doing their warm-ups in the wet. You almost got inside before it was wet. What was it like getting out on the ground? What were the conditions like?
Well, when we were out in the ground just before the game, probably an hour before bounce down, we just do a kick-to-kick on the ground or whatever on your own, and it was actually pretty dry, and we thought, geez, the ground's in really good nick, and then a really heavy rainfall just before we ran out and got out there, and it was like a completely different ground, like huge patches everywhere.
Wasn't it?
But I actually think it wasn't too bad considering the rain we've had over probably the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, it has just been bucketing down every day. I mean, we on our little group chat at about 2 o'clock, the message went out, geez, do you reckon the rain will hold off for the lads? And I thought, doubt it, not sure. And then at about 4 o'clock, you could see the clouds starting to roll in, and it was no good. And I'm going to go watch Andrew play tomorrow night, and I think the ground will be a bit, certainly be waterlogged.
Sloshy as.
Oh, yeah.
Was it as wet as a game's been? You recall was junior or playing at West Perth or wherever it may be, wet footy?
I've played with a lot wetter grounds than that. We played a couple games. Actually, it might have been when I was still playing Colts footy at West Perth. We played a couple games at Leederville at 9 o'clock bounce down in like torrential rain in the winter.
Forward pocket in the 50 metre where the pool is.
Shocking. And like the whole ground is underwater and the whole dugouts. So the dugouts are completely filled to the brim with water. So we just go sit on the plastic chairs or whatever. But I have had games there where it's been disgraceful.
Yeah, I've had. I reckon I've.
You would have had some serious wet weather games.
Well, I've played in 3 games in Perth that have been torrential. Growing up in Melbourne, you play in wet weather every other week, so that's it's not too you're not too. It's not foreign. But over here, there was a game against Claremont that was raining and sideways. The infamous canoe game.
Oh, yeah, the canoe game.
So that was quite funny. And then there was 2 night games we played at East Perth. I played one of them, was injured for the other one. And there was genuinely puddles of water that were, small lakes. And I remember Drew Petrie was playing, and I can't remember the forward that he was playing on, but because we used to play for East Perth, we knew a couple of the guys. I can't remember who made the comment, but Drew at Dish had played, 300 and however many games, and it was pouring down with rain. But he dropped back he would position himself and the ball would just get hacked out of the stoppage. And he took about 10 intercept marks. And I remember his forward who was standing and had...
Mitchell Dobson? Was it Dobbo?
Nah, I don't think it was Dobbo because I can't remember. It was just a tall forward. And he's just like, I don't know. How is he doing that? Like, how does he know where the ball's going to go? I was like, mate, the bloke's played more games of footy than you've been alive for. So it's just, more games than you've had hot dinners. And he just went, had 10 intercept marks in a pouring down rain. And then another game I played down at Peel that was just absolutely blowing the dog off a chain.
The infamous Drew Petrie game is also infamous for another reason.
Yeah.
One of our good friends, Patrick Bynes, had a set shot from the top of the goal square 10 metres out. For those one context, if you'd have to be a real die-hard Eagles fan, I think, to know who Pat Bynes is, or a follower of our socials. He's one of our good friends who was here for 1 year as a Cat B rookie, and he never kicked a goal in an actual game. I think he played 2 waffle games, maybe 3.
Let me set the scene. He kicked a goal in a practice game against Peel, and at halftime, this was a pre-season practice game, and at halftime, we were in there, and Gavin Bell said, Pat, the boys got around you after that goal. How you feeling? He goes, it's the best day of my life.
in a pre-season
So the man loves the sausage.
So loves kicking a goal. So the story is he played youth basketball for Australia, so that's where his Cat B rookie status came from. We were in Melbourne, the AFL side, and we had it on the live stream in our dining room on like a big projector, and we're all watching it, and Jared Brand is in the stands taking a video because he was injured at the time.
50-metre penalty to the top of the square.
50-metre penalty to the top of the square. And we're thinking, oh my God, everyone's like cheering, got phones out recording it, and it has came off the side of his knee. It's gone at about head height, so if it went straight, it would have hit the man on the mark square in the face and dribbled through for a behind from 10 metres out. And I will never forget panning the camera across from the big screen, the projector, to Simo, Craig Vozzo, who's the GM of footy, all the bosses just shaking their heads like, what have we done with this bloke? This is a huge error. Needless to say, he's no longer at the football club.
Pat's retired, me. We've retired. So no,
it was live streamed. It was a live stream game.
Yeah,
I remember being there with Thumper.
honestly,
It was unbelievable. Yeah. Anyway, he'd be a good contestant on Love Island, I reckon, Bonzi.
Oh yeah, in a tell.
That was a serious pivot from the story we were going about wet weather footy, but I'm glad we've got that one out.
Excellent stuff.
Dry footies. There's 6 footies used in a game. Do you get to the bag as quick as possible for the dry ball?
Well, I don't kick it in very much, but Shannon Hearn is someone who does. And someone was telling me he refuses to use the footy out the bag. It's some sort of superstition he has.
I've heard that as well.
He has to use the footy that was in play. So if the guy, sometimes there's a guy sitting with that bag, throws the footy at him, he'll put it back and then grab the old footy. So I didn't pay close attention to it. If we have another wet weather game, I'll keep an eye out for it. But that is how Bunga operates. But I would assume you would grab the dry footy.
Yeah, I would have thought so. But I mean, when it's pouring down rain like that, I can't imagine.
Doesn't make much difference.
I mean, you get one good kick out of it, and then it's waterlogged again.
Good celebration. The goal on the buzzer.
Yeah, got a bit of feedback. The feedback on the socials is trying to give it a little bit, but it's the actual JK special. I've learned that from JK. The old look at the crowd, give him a pump up.
A little pump up. Yeah.
Needless to say, I was the Wish version. It looked nowhere near as cool as he does when he does it.
It certainly helps when you've kicked the game winner against Richmond.
Yeah, rather than some meaningless goal before half time. But it says about where I'm at right now.
I don't know about that. You're not far away, mate. Now, in regards to changes at the footy club, been a lot of changes over the last 3 weeks. Now, we're doing this podcast lunchtime Wednesday. Okay, the game's not till Sunday. Naitanui's 200th game, a big game against Adelaide. You're playing at Waffle Eagles. Who's jumping off the page, mate?
Who's jumping off the page? Well, it's hard to go past Hutch to start with. 3 goals, 30 disposals on the weekend.
Real team on the back in the first quarter.
Yeah, thank you very much, Hutch. And then Westy had 33 and has been dominating. Connor West. Who else has been playing really well?
Foles went back and played okay, didn't he?
Foles went back and played really well. I'm not sure how. There's a couple of blokes who are a bit sore coming out of the weekend. Harry Edwards played a really good game. He's and has been for the last few weeks. Whenever he comes back to Waffle, he plays really, really well. So I mean, there's plenty of guys that are putting their hand up. I'm not sure what's happening at AFL with injuries and with selection.
But isn't that great that the Waffle Eagles? That's exactly what it's designed for, and it puts pressure on that group going through some losses or you get some injuries. You play well, you come under notice, and it was 2 weeks ago where there were changes based on pure Waffle form. That's why Vard's got in the team. He's been in pretty good form and was almost hard to ignore. Yeah,
correct. And I mean, that's what's really good about having a state league competition back for us. Last year it was really difficult with scrimmages. I mean, form is something that you can't really, I don't think, gauge from a 12v12. So actually blokes being able to push their case through form, and you get a weight of numbers behind a month or 2 month block of football, and you can knock on the coach's door and say, "Hey, mate, this has been my last 2 months. What more have I got to do?" So yeah, it'll be very interesting. I'm very much looking forward to seeing the selection this week.
I see Toddy Goldstein has jumped up as the greatest hit-out ruckman in the competition now. Of course, 266 games. He's a big rig. You had to go up against him a couple of times the other night. Hard to move?
Unfortunately, I will forever be a part of history.
Yep.
With he had the record-setting hit-out for most hit-outs in an AFL career against me, and it was a nice, beautiful flip over the back. Thankfully, Liam Ryan got the bloke holding the ball, which is great.
Excellent.
But yeah, he is a strong boy, and Hammer and I were actually joking. We went out for lunch on Friday, maybe Saturday. It would have been Friday.
Because I would have been playing on Saturday.
And you just said, "What are you doing this week?" And I said, "I think I'm back up rucking." And he goes, "Oh, that'll be easy. You're not going against one of the biggest competitors of all time who just loves rucking 95% of the game and is a warrior." So yeah, challenge.
Massive challenge. I mean, I've said this, I can't remember if I probably said it here before. I was a North Melbourne supporter growing up, so Todd Goldstein's always been one of my favourite players, but has always, for my entire recollection of his career, just loved being in the ruck the whole time. He just gets better and better as the game goes on. He doesn't get any smaller, and he's just an absolute warrior. So I don't think, what is he? He's just past Sandilands, who's not playing obviously anymore, but then you've got, I think he's close to 2,000 ahead of the next bloke.
Yeah.
So, there's him and Sandy, and then Coxie.
And then Daylight.
Yeah, and that are a little bit behind. I'll be interested to see where, at the end of their career, Max Gawn, Nick Nat, Brodie Grundys of the world are, because they're kind of the new generation of ruckman.
Yeah.
They get a lot more of the ball, so I'd love to see the average disposal or the full career disposals for those guys.
Yeah. My argument is Goldstein, as I said, no one sits there and rucks the whole game anymore. Like Goldstein, for the better part of 12, 13 years, has played 90% of every game in the ruck. As the only ruckman. I think he might have shared ruck duties with Hamish McIntosh in the early stages of his career, but apart from that has been Matt Jack Daw for a little bit, but has pretty much been Braden Pruce, but he just rucks the whole time.
You'd hate to be a backup ruckman on their list because they rarely get a run.
Yeah.
And he is a phenomenal player.
No question.
Well, that's why Braden Pruce left.
Yeah. And
then he's left again.
Well, it's pretty tough to get a go behind Max Gawn.
Yeah, 100%. You talk about Goldie the other night in that 266 games, a very hard man to move off the ball and the like. Where does he? And there's a lot more stoppages now. Would I be reading that right? A lot more stoppages.
Probably.
Yeah,
I assume so. Yeah. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but
I don't have the numbers in front of me. They try. I mean, the AFL have been putting in rules to go away from that, but it seems like there is. I'm not the statistician, but
because as you mentioned, very different to a ruckman that Dean Cox was, who created that running ruckman role, and Gawn not as probably Cox-like, but Grundy, yes.
Yeah, Gawn, they're all sort of different. The big three ruckmen in the comp at the moment, I think, are Gawn, Naitanui and Grundy. They're all sort of different. Nick dominates the hit-outs, I think, so does Max Gawn.
Darcy in there anyway?
Yeah, certainly. Sorry, here's another one. Yeah, Darcy. I think there's
later in the
three.
top five. I think the threes. There's a gap from 3 to 4.
Yeah. Well, Sean Darcy's certainly closing the gap.
He is closing.
The third fastest ruckman to 1,000 hit-outs.
Well, there you go.
Very
well
done,
Sean. Well done, Sean.
An interesting Goldie. I was going back through the archives, and he was mentioned as a replacement at West Coast about 8 or 9 years ago, when I think Nick went down with his first knee. I'll stand corrected on that.
Could be.
To assist. If you go back through the archives and have a look, Goldie's name was definitely on the recruiting radar here at West Coast.
Well, there you go.
Some inside info.
I
don't know how good it is.
I certainly remember a year where he absolutely dominated. I reckon I might have been in year 12, and he was. I thought he was going to win the Brownlow. It was the best year I've ever seen.
There were years where he was close to win the Brownlow.
Yeah,
he was getting phenomenal. A lot of votes.
Yeah, he had I think he had 50 hit-outs and 26 disposals one game. I was just.
Anyway, enough of the love fest.
Anyway, Goldstein, well done.
Let's give some love to Nick Naitanui.
Yeah, we may as well. He is a 200 games. I've said this on Sporting Goss this morning. We spoke about it. The most influential player that we've ever played with, or seen play. He is such a generous and a loving guy, so kind, loves his teammates, puts in so much work around the footy club, and with all the injuries that he's had, to get to 200 games is such a massive achievement, and to still be at the level he is a credit to the way he goes about his footy. Oz, you've played with him for the last 3 and a bit, close to 4 years, so we'll give us a bit about him.
So 2 things. Firstly, do you go on Sporting Goss again, Talking Goss again this morning?
Every Wednesday morning.
Must be nice.
Mate, you're more than welcome to come on.
Yeah, more than welcome to give me a call. I'm not doing anything. Yeah, so a freak on field, but off field he's a great fella. really understands his teammates, and it's tough. I can imagine it being tough being him in everyday life because he is a genuine celebrity. He's one of the few AFL players who I'd say is a celebrity, and you could go anywhere in the country, dare say, a lot of the world, and people wouldn't even recognise him.
I've said before to people, anyone who will care to listen, the most recognisable face in Australia.
100%.
The most recognisable person in Australia, and I would love to hear anyone's thoughts if you got someone, more recognisable, not more famous because there is, but more recognisable. There is no.
I'll tell you one. I don't think there's many people more recognisable in their home country than Naitanui is in his home country.
Yeah.
So he stands out because he's got his long hair. Obviously, he's 6'8".
Yep.
He's a tanned fellow. Whereas you go to other countries and
he's massive,
and he just stands out like anything. You can't put a beanie on, you can't put a hat on, because his hairs and dreads are flying out. Whereas you go to the USA, LeBron James, there's probably a lot more percentage of 6'8" guys that are huge, and he can wear a hat and a beanie or whatever and probably hide himself a little bit more. But I dare say, last year's JW medalist, he'll double it up this year. I'm almost
certainly
putting the house on
the
it.
hammer time votes.
Putting the house on it.
Yeah, little hammer time votes are on the way.
Gamble responsibly.
Two very relatables, small relatables to me. I was standing alongside Scott Waters, who was coaching Subiaco Colts at Bassendean Oval, and it was the first game for Simon White was playing, who went and played at Carlton. A lot of other guys who played league footy, and I remember standing in the coach's box at Bassendean Oval, and this bloke came off the bench and jumped straight over and took a mark. And I mean, leapt over a bloke on the wing. And Waters turned to me, and I turned to him, and he said, quote unquote, "Did you just see that?" And that was Nick Naitanui, one of his very first appearances as a 16-year-old Colt. It was unbelievable. You just knew then, and everyone was talking about it. And, of course, there was all that talk about the draft, Jack Watts and Stephen Hill and Daniel Rich and all that sort of stuff. But interesting, I was lucky enough to present him with his graduation at Governor Stirling High School. Him and Tony Knott. They came through together. And to this day, and he made mention of it last year, you talk about the John Morsford medal, he made mention of it in his speech. I was absolutely chuffed because for me it was big that he was this young boy coming through. And to him to remember that, and he is star of the stars.
No question.
But to remember my role of shaking his hand when he was a 16-year-old at Governor Stirling gave me a buzz. Gave me a buzz. He's a super person. And you're right, what he does for the community, a multicultural ambassador and the like, he's so giving. And you've got to look at his socials with his family and the kids and everyone else. And when he goes back to Fiji, he describes himself as a walking, talking ATM. They're always hitting him up to get a new TV or new wiring or new lighting so they can watch the footy. That's their excuse. We need to watch the footy.
No, he is. He's no question in the top 10 best blokes of the footy club that I've ever sort of been around. But no, cracking fella. So well done on 200.
Short and sharp then. One, Oscar, we'll ask you these. What is he like as a teammate?
He's pretty selfless. He's a selfless teammate and he just wants to win. I think he's got to the stage in his career now where he's got the personal accolades. He's won the best and fairest. He's an All-Australian. He just wants to win now. So he'll do whatever it takes to win, and that's what you love in a teammate. And he's a leader. He's one of our best leaders on field and off field too. When
you came to the footy club, had you met him prior to that, and what was it like?
I hadn't met him prior to that, and I've actually got a story about on draft night. I was lucky enough to be at the draft, and myself and Jared Brander were there. And after the draft, we went out for dinner with Simo, and some of the assistant coaches and the recruiting staff were there. And the first thing he said to me is, "Congratulations, mate. Well done. It's on to have you. When you're meeting the team, don't try and be everyone's best friend. Like, don't go up to Nick Nat and try and be his best friend, because you can imagine the first thing everyone does is like, oh my God, that's Nick Nat. Let's be this bloke's best friend." So straight away, you almost told me not to keep your distance, but don't be an 18-year-old kid that's annoying him and asking him to do things for you. And I think because of that, he probably respected me a little bit from there, because I was respectful of him. And I'm sure it was the same with you, Ham. You don't just go to the big fish and try and hog his time because there's 5 other blokes on the list. But yeah, he's been great to me on a personal and playing level too. Fair highlights reel too, I'm sure, when they put together a pre-game or inside the playing group.
No question. I haven't seen it.
Do you remember his 150th highlights reel?
Yeah, that was something
that was
special.
the best of all time, so I'm wondering what this one will be.
That was very, very good. But just on that, he's when I remember when I first met him as well, it was a bit the same. You didn't want to, you spook him. It's like a dog. You got to let him come to you.
Yeah.
But no, he was on my. I reckon it might have been my second or third day. I was just lunchtime and I went out. I can't remember who I was with, but he came along and there was about 2 or 3 other first year boys came along, bought me lunch, and it was just sort of sat there and chewed the fat. But no, he is a cracking fella. But it was very intimidating meeting him for the first time.
No doubt. Well, he spoke to the Perth media at the Footy Club here at Mineral Resources Park at Eagles headquarters earlier today, lunchtime Wednesday, and this is a little bit of what he had to say.
Yeah, I think I'm pretty proud to be able to make it there. Like, I've had a lot of surgeries in my time. I've had, my shoulders, my knees, everything in between. So it's been tough, and it's been a long journey. And I've seen guys that I've played alongside at the start of my career with, or guys that have come in later, get to this milestone before me. But for me, it was just more about having an impact when I am out there. So I'm happy to get there. So it's good to get back to Adelaide this week. I don't think we've been there for a couple of years now, so good to get back over there. And we actually haven't won a milestone game in a while, so a little bit of nerves, but I'm telling the boys this is the one we need, and we're desperate for a win, so I'm really excited. For me, it was just the guys that were in the room. Like, I started my career, there was probably 12, 15 of the 06 grand final boys in there. The Wirrapundas, the Hunters, the Selwoods, everyone was around, and some of my childhood heroes. So, to see them move on and then, I guess, play 200 like a lot of those guys did is, something I'll probably look back on in a few years' time and be pretty happy about. Pretty pleased to be able to get my first crack at AFL level and play at West Coast and do what I did. But, probably post both of my knees, just to show myself, I think, internally, mentally, that I can get through some of those hardships. Like, I had a fair bit of stuff go down in the past probably 4 or 5 years, gone through a lot of adversity. So to be able to play footy and still be playing footy, something that I've always hang my hat on. And I probably couldn't define which is better, the first half or second half, pre and post knees, but I probably enjoyed both sides of it. As long as these knees stay healthy, I'll keep going, and who knows? Who knows? Yeah, I think people at times forget. Like, I think I reflect back on my 200 games of my time at the Footy Club is you are human at the end of the day. You still have a life outside of footy, and from 16, 17 years old, I lost a lot of my privacy. And a lot of you guys have been in the room and have seen me grow up as from a young child to who I am now. So like when footy gets tough or life gets tough, it's out there, it's in the paper, people will bag you, but that's been my whole life for the past 10, 15 years. So for me, it's no shock. It is the way of life. We sign up to do this, and we've got the best job in the world. So I'm forever grateful. I'm happy to ride those ups and those downs. But my life is what it is, and I wouldn't change it for the world. I think my family's been massive for me. Just the support. The Footy Club's been massive. The Footy Club's been an extension of my family. So not having too many relatives here in Australia or in Perth in particular, the Footy Club has always helped me out, and it's been something that I've been pretty proud of. When they say they'll help you, in a sense, it's not just words, they'll actually act on it, and they'll help you do whatever you need to do. And that's from Nizzy and the board all the way down. So for me, the playing group, my family and the Footy Club.
Great segue, because we do believe that Nick Naitanui has got one hand on the Hammer Time trophy. But here are this week's votes.
Yeah, welcome. Yes, we do think he has pretty much one hand on it. It's going to be hard for anyone to reel him in here unless he gets injured, touch wood, which we hope he doesn't. Mate, dirty day to do the votes.
Tough.
An absolute
a tough 3 weeks for you to do the votes.
It has been, and that's I do it for the podcast listeners. I
do it for you guys.
I do it for you guys at home. I put in the hard yards and get it. And you know what? I was not far off canning it this week and just saying you're not getting any votes, but we found 3.
We had a discussion about potentially give them to the Waffle Boys.
Yeah, I thought that would be quite funny. But no, we thought we'd push through, we'd find 3. There was there was definitely some players that played some reasonable football on the weekend.
Could have done the Rob Scantlebury, and you're both looking at me going, who's Rob Scantlebury?
Absolutely.
Yeah, who was Rob Scantlebury?
Subiaco Colt, we got beat by 15 goals at Subi Oval by Peel Thunder. Morabito had 36 and a half.
Walked in a half?
Yes.
Wow.
Hadn't been drafted at this stage.
I'd hope not playing Colts footy on an AFL list. I would expect him to be getting 36 and a half.
Good point, Oz.
Yep.
Anyway, walked into the rooms after, and we had 7 awards as the Subiaco Colts coach. And I walked up, and there was $15 in one, 10 in another, drink voucher in that, and dropped 7 envelopes at the feet of one player, Rob Scantlebury, and said, "They're all yours." He got every single award.
What did he do in the game? Did he go back with the flight or do
He
something?
just worked hard here, Rob. He
What,
just-
what he, as a 16-year-old, he's walked away with $100 or something.
Yeah, it's-
Unreal.
Yeah.
What's my man Rob doing now?
No, just battling away.
Yeah,
I
good.
think he gave up not long after.
Yeah.
Well done, Rob.
He
The highlight of
invested in
his
the
career.
share market.
Yeah.
No, excellent. Anyway,
Invest in crypto.
Yeah, we will push on with the Hammer Time.
So there's no
Award.
scandal. We thought of going maybe Nick Nat 1, 2 and 3?
No.
Do you think you think Nick Nat was the best on?
Absolutely. Absolutely 100% he was the best.
Do you want to enlighten? I'd just be interested to hear your.
For me,
Yep.
I thought he was. I understand, and everyone wants to pinpoint one moment where Goldie took a mark,
Yep.
kicks the goal from the goal square. But I looked down and I saw Tom Barras and Jeremy McGovern down there. You had to roll the dice. He stood at centre. I did that. That's one negative that everyone's as a bad optic was cracking at Nick. I think there was obviously a reason. He looked down and said he's got 2 All-Australian defenders down there. They can do the job. It didn't work out. He was dominant on the ground to the point where I absolutely stand corrected on this, Oz, and also Hammer. I'm pretty sure he got 7 coaches' votes. 4 from the coach,
Did
3
he?
from the Oppo coach. I'm positive he got 7 coaches' votes.
Let me have a quick.
Have I got that wrong?
Let me have a quick
I mean,
segue.
he
and
certainly
look.
was good, and he features in the votes.
He got a 4 and a 3, I reckon. So,
Wow.
So the bloke in the long sleeve, Stevenson, got both 5s.
Yep.
And I'm sure Nick got 7 votes. If I've read that completely wrong, I do apologise, but I thought he was the best player for the Eagles by a mile.
Yeah, well, the good thing about the podcast is we can take our time and edit it around. But no, he certainly was very, very good, and I'm just going to wait and see this 7.
Are we going into AFL Coaches Association votes?
Yes, I've got them.
And what have we got?
So I'll be interested to hear your predictions. Do you want to go Hammer? You go with your votes first, and then I'll say who got the Coaches Association votes.
Well, no, let's roll with coaches. Was there any West Coast players in the Coaches Association?
There was
votes?
one, and it was Nick Nat who got 7,
there
and
you
no
go.
one else got any votes. Jade Stevenson 10, Zeeble 7, Simpkins, Zerha, and Cunnington 2 apiece.
There you go.
Also interested, just a segue, the leaderboard, Clayton Oliver leading the Coaches Association votes. I love Clayton Oliver. He's a very good player, but I think the blokes that are 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and probably 6th will be the top for the Brownlow.
Bontempelli, Petrarca, McCluggage,
Is Mundy around there?
Mundy.
No. 2nd is Bontempelli.
Yep.
Yeah.
3rd is Took Miller.
Oh my
Having a
goodness,
great
mate.
Took Miller having an unbelievable year.
Great
He's
year.
he's a lock for the All-Australian side.
Has to be.
And I think he should get Brownlow votes. And Sam Walsh.
Yeah, he's been phenomenal too.
And then the final one I had, I think Ollie Wines.
Yeah, he's
or
been great, hasn't he?
Also Petrarca.
Yeah, Petrarca's been
Between
phenomenal.
those two.
Anyway,
yeah,
hey, let's not deviate. So you
back to the
rolling.
Hammer
There's a
time
bit of
votes.
eye rolling going on here.
Yeah, well, I mean, I didn't have him as the 3 vote getter.
Wow. 'Cause
Yeah.
He's the only Eagle, so he got a 4 and a 3.
Yep.
coaches.
Yeah, okay. So I'll be honest with you. I only watched the second half of the game. I was in the car listening to it on the radio.
Did you not watch the first half?
No, I didn't watch the first half.
Fair enough.
Oh, well, I was in the car. I had to pick up Lex from work, so and drop her to get her. She was getting her car serviced. Anyway, so I
Drive
have-
safely too.
Yeah, drive safely. So anyway, I
Buy another car.
yeah. Let's roll into the votes.
Podcast paying you well, is it?
Yeah, very, very well. Okay, so we've got the 1 vote getter on the day. I thought this bloke. I mean. He's had a go. He's kicked a goal. He's had 25 possessions. I think he had 6 tackles through the midfield. Was one of our. I thought was probably our best midfielder on the day. Worked pretty hard. Got enough of the Sharon and used it all right. So I thought Tim Kelly gets the 1 vote for mine.
Happy
Happy with that?
Nothing else to say. Happy.
Yep. And look, I've got him as the 2 vote getter, but he's had 7 Coaches Association votes.
Changes things, doesn't it?
Could very quickly just change it up. Tossing it a coin.
Well, you're not a coach. You've said that
exactly.
1,000
Correct.
times.
I'm not a
That's
coach.
your
2 votes,
apples.
Nick Naitanui. I thought he was very, very good. Obviously, phenomenal. I thought Goldie was good too. But I don't think he dominated.
Goldie's stiff not to get Coaches Association votes or what?
Yeah, I thought Goldie was pretty good.
He was pretty good, wasn't he?
I thought so.
Maybe he just pulled my pants down, and that's why I thought he was good. Maybe that's where I'm
maybe
coming
he
from.
bumped
Up
his-
close and personal.
Maybe
Maybe I
bumped
should
his-
ruck
yeah.
up against Nick one time and just really have a think about how
Yeah,
good he
maybe
is.
he bumped up the hit out stats against you, Oz.
Okay, so you think you know what his 3 are? Or do you know
Nah.
what his top? Who do you think his 3 voter is?
I think Shannon Hearn was the best player for us on the weekend.
Yeah, I agree. That's where I've put my 3 votes.
We do like a Players Player award every
Yep.
week. Who we vote on whoever we thought best embodied the trademark, and I voted for Bunga.
Yeah,
I just
there
thought
you
his
go.
attack on the contest was great, and he's always so reliable behind the footy.
Yeah, well, there you go. So 3 votes was Shannon Hearn. So it was 1 vote Tim Kelly, 2 votes Nat Nui, 3 votes Shannon Hearn. I just want to say on Bunga, and I was speaking about leadership before. He is one bloke that you could be 100 points up or you could be 100 points down. The game could be on the line with 5 seconds to go, and he will always give you the exact same effort. And I thought that's what he did on the weekend, and that is why I've given him $3.
Didn't help him at the team store.
No.
I was walked past him. He was buying something at the team store. I said, "What? Nothing? Former premiership cap?"
Nah. Gets his 30% off or whatever the players thing is, and or whack it on the account.
Yep.
Don't forget, we have good stuff here at the Superstore here at Mineral Resources Park. You get plenty of stuff. So how does the leaderboard look then on the back of
I'd
Nick
love
Naitanui?
to know off the top of my head. It's in my book that he's not here. But no, Nick Naitanui is now, I think, 5 votes clear at the top. So of Tom Barras.
Right.
So there's a bit of daylight between the two of them, and Tim Kelly would be third.
And now time for this.
You had to go and be a hero.
So, to be honest, Hammer and I had a chat about it, and we were pretty close to binning it.
Tough. Yep.
Similar to you with your Hammer time voice, but I've gone with my man, JK. I think he kicked 2 goals, 3. He didn't convert in front of the goals as...
Certainly should have been at least 3.
Yeah, certainly should have been at least 3, but he is a very, very good player, and so you expect a lot from him. But I think if you look at the game, he kept us in it for large portions of the game, was really, really an efficient target ahead of the ball. In a wet night, to have 5 shots for a big fella, that's good going.
Yep.
Unfortunately, didn't convert as well as you expect from him because he's one of the all-time GOATs. But yeah, he's my unsung hero.
Yeah, and
I'll tell you what, probably the first time he's ever going to get an unsung hero because if he plays well, everyone knows he plays well. Yeah.
Another one that I just thought you might. I do want to mention another one, and in the similar vein to Bunga, will give everything regardless of the scoreline. Yeah, Duggan, tough, hard. Always gives his all, and I thought you were going to give him the unsung hero, but
I probably in hindsight
he won
probably
it last
should have.
week. No, he won it last week.
Did he?
Yeah,
he's had enough.
Yeah, fair enough. And we're on.
Have you got back or neck pain? Are you rehabbing a sports injury and need the best in physiotherapy care? Or are you dealing with arthritis pain and want to start feeling better? Visit West Coast Health and High Performance. It's located where the Eagles train at Mineral Resources Park. Their team of experts will design an individual program for you to get back on track with your health. West Coast Health and High Performance. Book an appointment today at westcoasthealth.com.au.
Welcome back after that short sojourn. When you talked about JK, was it his snap-on goal that went upstairs and had to the goal umpire?
That was mine.
That was your snap-on
That was
goal.
mine, believe it or not. Please believe it or not.
Was the goal umpire Sally about asking whether it hit the post or went over the post?
Over the post.
Over
Had
the
to be. It
post.
was
That's not a rule. You can't do that if you're... Surely that's not a goal umpire's call. It's either a goal or a point. Different if it hit the post or was touched.
I think it's well within the umpire's rights to say, hey, can I just get a
But
quick
how
look?
are they going to tell from the angle?
Well, they can't, and that's why they gave it a goal. But
She's standing underneath the post. She's got the best view in the house.
Yeah,
I thought it was a
mean-
point.
you thought it was a point? I thought, and I'm a massive supporter of this, kick it as high as you can and celebrate. My God, kick it as high as you can and celebrate.
We just high five. We'll do it louder against her. Hopefully you guys heard that.
If it goes up high enough and you celebrate loud enough, you're good to go.
I had the exact thought of sell it hard, mate. Just sell it,
Yeah.
sell it, sell it, sell it. So I gave it a little bit, and JK picked me up, and we had a cuddle. So yeah, I thought live was a goal.
Yeah.
So I did think it was a goal, and I feel like the angle of which the review was taking place, that looked like a goal. But when you look at the normal television footage, it actually curls late and looks like it curls after the post. But
Yeah.
believe me, it was a goal.
angles.
And I
And
tell
it's
you what,
just certainly-
it's in the stat book.
in the book.
And
Yeah,
it's certainly
in the
too
book.
hard. Yeah, you can't. There's not conclusive.
I
So,
tell you what, it's in
just
the book in
sausage.
pen, not pencil.
Yeah,
You're never
no
taking that one
question.
away from me.
Did we watch Euro?
Oh, I didn't.
I didn't, but I did watch the replay probably at about 7:30.
So were you a look away, don't look, didn't want to know the score? Didn't
Yes.
look at your phone?
Well, I have been getting up to watch most of the games, but it was on game day, so probably wouldn't have been best prep to get up at 1:30 and be up from 1:30 to 5 to watch the
Yeah.
game. So
Did you know anyone who did?
Yeah, I've got a couple friends who actually originate from England. So
Well, I just don't care enough about soccer to get up and watch.
I love it. I love it. I love it so much.
I'll watch the World Cup, but it's
This
funny.
is like the pseudo World Cup. This is just as
hang
good.
on. No, it's not just as good because 7 of the 21 World Cup winners have come from South America. So you can't say that this is as good as the World Cup when just about half of them have come from another continent that's not in the competition.
I can understand that, but I also think the Copa America's at the same time. So Copa America, the South American competition.
Correct.
And then Euros, obviously the European competition. They're both going at the same time. So although you're not getting the best teams, so you're not getting Brazil versus Spain, you're still getting Brazil versus Argentina in the final against England and Italy in the final, but you also get to see Germany play and you get to see Colombia play. You get to see all the good teams. It's a good standard. I enjoy it.
Yeah, well, I just don't like soccer.
Not a fan.
That's harsh. It's the world game.
Yeah, it's the world game. I think it can go in the bin.
Anyway, the world game. England lost 3-2 on penalties.
Yep.
They've won the Euros never. They've never won it.
Yep.
And they've only won the World Cup once in 1966, so heartbreak.
Heartbreak. Did you see some of the social media stuff?
Disgraceful.
Did I read this right? Again, correct me. Oz, you're across it more than I am, probably than Hammer, because it was something.
Hammer doesn't care.
He doesn't
wants
care.
us to change.
Put it in the bin.
Yeah.
Those fans, the Italian fans, were getting beat up and kicked and carried on, and then they were actually trying to get in the ground.
Yep.
So those English supporters were trying to get them thrown out, and they were telling security, do your job, stop them coming in. But the Italians that were running in getting beat up, and that, we're not condoning violence, but they're actually trying to get them out of the ground.
Yeah. It was crazy. It was crazy.
Just before the game started.
Yeah, they're a different breed. Football fans, as we like to say, are a different breed.
Did you see what they did to Lando Norris?
Nah.
Lando Norris, Formula One McLaren driver, Englishman,
Yep.
went to the game as a VIP, went to his car, was standing next to his car, which is a McLaren, fancy that.
Of course.
The
Must
bloke
be nice.
Pinned him down, Lando Norris, and it stole his McLaren watch off him, valued at $75,000 in broad daylight.
Gee whiz,
Lando
that hurts.
Norris, it's like someone doing it to Daniel Ricciardo here.
Jeez, that hurts.
Yeah, it does hurt. I'm sure he'll get it replaced, but yeah, that's
pretty
disgraceful.
unsavoury.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It is. It's shocking. They can get a little bit caught up in the emotion of it. I know people love it, and we love supporters that love and support everything they do with all their hearts, but some of the stuff, and then the
Racism.
and the three blokes that missed it, they were 19, 21 and
gracious
23.
me.
They're young English fellas. They're all from local areas around there.
Yeah.
And then all the racial abuse to all three of them, just disgusting. Like, genuinely disgusting.
Marcus Rashford had to go and he wrote a 2-page apology and told his story and put it on socials to sort of explain what it meant to him to lose. He didn't whinge and moan. He said, yep, I should have done better. I should have scored, but I'm still Marcus Rashford. I'm still black and I'm still damn proud of what I've done.
I'm not sure if you know the backstory from Marcus Rashford, but he has donated and led a cause to raise over 250 million euros to support students and kids who don't have food. So basically a food bank over there. And it was cut from the Parliament surplus. So he's the one that came out and said, no, I want this to bring back in. And he's had meetings with the Prime Minister. He's met the Queen. He's now Marcus Rashford MBE because of this whole thing that's come around because of it.
Massive.
And then if you look anywhere on social media, search it up, there's murals of him with thousands and thousands of letters of support because of the great things he's done. Someone who's more than an athlete and perfectly entails that. And to still get the hate because he's lost a game, it's just silly.
And what about the 19-year-old had to step up and take the penalty?
Bukayo.
Can you imagine the pressure? Can you imagine the pressure?
Yeah, no, I actually can't.
Are you back with us? Have you zoned back in?
Yeah, well, obviously I'm listening. I don't know. I've never heard
Just
this
observing.
Never heard this bloke's name before just then.
Bukayo Saka.
That's the first time I've ever heard that name.
Marcus Rashford.
Yeah, I've heard that 3 times in the last minute for the first time. But yeah, the pressure of a 19-year-old having a penalty to have a crack at the Euros would certainly be something that I would buckle under.
Yeah, me too.
Shorter quarters seems to be the debate.
No.
Chris Scott says yes.
A big fat no.
No, don't change the game. We'll adjust with the times. I just think, I know the scoring has gone down, but I don't understand how the logic behind making the quarters shorter and then the scoring goes up simply does not work for me.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, I think keep the quarters the same. If you want more scores, maybe increase the interchange to give blokes more of a spell. But, I mean, yeah, I think it's pretty happy at 20-minute quarters.
So Sir Swamp Thing, best in the business. Lowest scoring rounds in AFL era by average team score. 4 of them this season in 2021. I don't look at games. I looked at your game the other night and it was wet, so I didn't even take into account length of quarters or whatever. It was a tough skills night, wasn't it? But the Fremantle game they had the other day was a high-scoring contest.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. I'll be honest. I don't care what the score of an AFL game is a lot of the time. Like, if it's 120 to 114... It's a close game. It's a good game. If it's 70 to 60, it's a good game. It's a close game. There are games, that are. If a game is tight, I don't care if it's 100 points or 50 points. It's just I like seeing a contested game of footy.
I understand people trying to change the game for the viewership, because that is really where our revenue stream comes from. Being able to be consumed by as many people as possible and to try and make it a global sport. But tell me one other global sport that changes the rules as drastically every single year. So we bring in the stand on the mark rule, and initially everyone's saying, what a great rule. This is why we changed the rules. Look at the scoring. And then in teams just adjust and the game adapts. So if we leave the score the same, instead of defences being able to adapt, because I think defence can adapt quicker than offence, how about we leave it the same and let offences try to catch up to what the defences are doing?
I'm with you right there. And then the 666 seems to have just schmoozed into our competition. Now, boys, we're almost going to wrap it up here for West Coast Health and High Performance, westcoasthealth.com.au. Socials, Oz, you walked in here all very bullish. Socials are a buzz this week.
They are a buzz. We've got a couple. Let me just get my DMs up.
Yeah.
I've got them up here. So I've got
a couple too.
One from Tracy Whitehouse.
Oh, yeah.
And Trace has gone for us. Hi, Oscar. Big fan of Coast to Coast. Just curious. Ash Barty's mindset coach has received a lot of plaudits this week. Do you boys have someone like that to work with? If so, how can this change your confidence?
Question.
That is a really, really good point, and we do. We've been practicing something called mindfulness since we got to the club. Mm-hmm. It was brought in at the start of 2018, and it's to do with bit of meditation every morning, understanding where you are and trying to live in the exact moment you're in, kind of being present in your shoes. Hammer?
So we jumped in when we got drafted 2017, and Mark Nikoski was a big leader in this, and he's brought it in. He's been practicing his own meditation for the last, I'm not sure how many years, but has really brought that into something that's in the norm for us now. And boys, we would call it mindfulness. We do it before games, we do it before training, and a lot of guys have built it into their daily life. I mean, I remember I wasn't overly into it at the start, and then really sort of bought in and found it helped my football, it helped my concentration just around life. I mean, at uni, just at home, things I was able to be more involved and do things a lot better. And I think a lot of the boys have really adapted that. There's a few guys that I know that have brought that into, every day they're doing something, whether it's, they find their meditation in surfing. They'll sit there and just sort of enjoy and be in the moment, feel the water, feel the sun. It's that sort of stuff that I'm sure Ash Barty's mindfulness coach is telling her to do. But we've certainly had a hard focus on it the last few years.
And Ash Barty's coach is Ben Crow, who is also Richmond's coach. So he's had a lot to do with Richmond over the last 4 years. So
she the number one ticket holder at Richmond?
Yep.
Yeah, she is. So there
Presented
you go.
the trophy.
I've actually got another one from Creeping Ben Grass, and he said, "Hey mate, big
Benny.
fan of Coast to Coast. Couple for you, number one. Reckon you should get on that Oscar Allen 12 ASAP." Now, this is a call out to anyone that can help me in any way. I've tried to, and it says get in contact with Instagram if you try and change it. And I've Googled it, and I've looked at all the forums, and I simply cannot find a way to get in direct contact with him.
Yep.
I'm going to give it to the IT guys at the club. We'll be on it. I'll let you try and have it sorted by next week, but I think it is essential. And secondly, I just watched Todd Goldstein break Aaron Sandon's hit-out record against you, and it was a hit-out to advantage. Yep, thanks, mate. We've been over
Awesome.
it. I appreciate it.
Excellent. Anything else from the socials from you, Oz? Or
No.
No one queuing up?
Actually, I got another one saying that was a perfect moment for the chainsaw at Hamish Brayshaw. Just a little one in my
Yep.
DMs, which isn't too bad at all.
Yep.
But that's me for now.
Beautiful.
Hammer?
Look, I have got a couple. First of all, I was just telling you before this, Oz, there's been a lot of love for you coming through on the socials.
rare.
And a love for there's obviously in the media, there's a lot of pile on the West Coast, but I've had a lot of love for you and for the team. And I had Thomas Edwards message me, Hammer, was gutted to hear Oz on the radio saying he was anxious going to get a coffee. The bloke bleeds yellow and gold, and we love him no matter the wins or losses.
Oh, thank you. That's very generous. Thank you very much.
So that's one of a few. When was this anxious coffee sort of discussion?
So I'm on 94.5.
Nice plug.
One morning a week.
Yep.
It's either Thursday or Friday morning around 7 to 8. So get on.
It's no sporting gossip.
Nah, certainly not.
Yeah, but I'm on there. So the actual question was, how do you feel after losses? And it was something where when there's such a high expectation, you wake up in the morning and you instantly think, oh, we'll go get a coffee, go in the shop, and you're worried about people going to perceive you or what people are going to say to you. And I think if you ask a lot of boys on the list, they'd probably have a similar response.
Yeah, yep, no question. So but there has been a lot of love for you coming from that way. Now, I teased this last week. We had a question that was very much as deep.
This is serious. This is serious. Yeah, this is serious now.
This is as deep as the podcast has ever delved, and it is from Candace. Now, hi. Got a coast-to-coast question. Not sure if you can even discuss, but here it goes. What is your thoughts on Carl Nassib coming out in the NFL? We see it in the AFLW. It's normal. No one even mentions it, and that's how it should be. Number one, how would you both feel if a teammate came out? This is obviously coming out as being gay or openly gay. And two, do you think the AFL and AFL media is ready? Aussie, thoughts on that?
I think it is something that should be accepted. I think in society in general, it's something that people, I'm not going to say, I'm not sure how the right way to put this, but it's just accepted. I don't think it's even a talking point anymore. If it was in the change room, it wouldn't be a talking point. The only people that really have, I think, hold grudges towards it are people from older generations who haven't adapted with the times, and it's probably because back when they were growing up it wasn't something that was talked about, whereas we're lucky things like this get talked about all the time by nuffies like us. So I'd be 100% all for it, and the interesting point is on the media. I do think the media would make a bigger deal of it than what it actually is. And you've seen the NFL player, I can't quite remember
Carl Nassib.
Yeah, I remember him coming out, and it was probably 2-3 weeks ago.
Yeah,
it was everywhere, flooded on my Instagram news feed for days. Whereas it's probably the more you make up of it, I know it's a great thing for them to do, and it's a very hard thing to do. The more you build it up, probably leaves him open for more ridicule, I'd assume.
Yeah, well, I think for NFL, he's the first active player. There's been a few after the fact that have come out, but he's the first active player to come out in that space. But I think for AFL, in terms of that media thing, it's building up to sort of. I don't think it's a big deal. Like, I think
I don't either.
If it happens, and when it does happen, I'm sure it will at some point. It'll just be like, oh, okay, yeah, cool, no worries. But it's almost, and I've never had this experience, but I can imagine that it would just be such a weight that is just bearing down, and the whole idea of, I'll be the first one to ever do it, how much pressure that has. And I think it would just be, such a good thing for the competition if it does and when it does happen. But, I think the AFL media is ready for it. I think the AFL is ready for it. Certainly no qualms from my end.
The serious questions being asked right now and some genuine answers, I think. Goss, what do you think? So, coming from someone who's a big part of the media and has been a part of the media, how do you think it'd be perceived?
I'm staggered that it hasn't come out or someone hasn't spoken about it before. Ian Roberts, I'll just give you that name.
Yep.
Big unit, rugby league, tough man.
Yep.
Came out years ago as a player.
Yeah.
No one bat an eyelid to it. No one, mind you wouldn't want to take him on with it because he'd put you into another postcard. You're a big unit.
Yeah.
Just Google Ian Roberts and follow that story as a rugby league player. For me, it is just part of our society. Let's just accept it for what it is. And I agree with you. And the media will highlight it. It'll make a big thing. He's out, she's out, whatever it may be. So what? 2 words for me, so what?
Yep, no question.
Are we doing this?
We are.
We are. That's a very, very deep conversation.
And thank you, Candace, for listening.
Yeah, thanks,
and
Candace.
When you're on your socials, don't be afraid to mention Coast to Coast Podcast, not the other podcast. Say Coast to Coast. We'd love to hear from you, Candace, on your public social media.
And yes, we have had. There are plenty more socials, but we'll get to them in the coming weeks. We just thought we'll leave it at that after the fact.
That was big.
Now, Oscar.
Yes.
I said I didn't have one last week, and I said to you that I would come up with something special for this week's podcast, if you remember correctly.
I do remember.
So what I've done is I've gone away from the norm of having it being someone from our current playing list.
Oh, no.
I've not done you. I've already said, righto, I've already given you your 10 questions. I have gone back into the history books a little bit. Not too far, not far enough that you won't remember it. You've been an avid Eagles fan your whole life.
I have.
I've taken a player from the 2006 Premiership team, and I'm going to give you the Who Are You. Now,
How old were you, Oz?
I was 7 years old.
7 years old.
I've actually got a great photo of me celebrating that premiership.
Excellent, and we'll love to see it. So it's a player from that team who played in the grand final, has the premiership medal, I'm sure, and because I haven't been able to speak to this person personally, I have got only football stats. So that I think might help you a little bit.
I did the lap of honour with the boys that day. I was on the ground doing the interviews.
Well, certainly Goss would know the bloke.
What a great day.
That's a photo of me from grand final day.
Oh, look what you're doing.
I know, I'm doing
Let me
it.
have a look.
He's doing the
Oh,
W.
the big W.
The big W, there you go.
In front,
Well,
you legend, Oz.
we'll certainly be putting that one up on the socials, I would have thought. Anyway,
Yeah.
we're on. Who Are You 2006 Premiership?
Okay. So it is a premiership player from is that a first hint?
No. That's just the whole the title.
Okay, thank you. That's a free hint then.
It's a free hint, correct. Clue number 1. This player played between 100 and 200 AFL games in his career.
Okay. Instantly, I had a thought of you could rig this and say, well, he didn't play, but you could have said Mark Lacroix around the club then, but obviously he didn't play. Played more than 200 games. That is a tough one because I feel like there's a lot of players there that you could probably forget.
Of course. Now, what I'm going to tell you before we continue is the first 5 clues are very generic, and then we start to hone in.
Okay.
So it's just to give you build you into it a little.
Do you want me to? Can I keep taking stabs in the dark?
I mean, if you'd like to.
All right.
But
Number 1, is it Quinton Lynch?
it's not Quinton Lynch.
Cool.
Clue number 2, he's never played in a draw. That's
Okay.
neither here nor there.
All right. Is it Rowan Jones?
It's not Ryan Jones. Clue number 3, the most goals he ever kicked in a game was 3.
Oh, okay. Most goals 3. So I'm probably ruling out some players. I'm going to go, was it Chatty Fletcher?
Wasn't Chad Fletcher. Clue number 4, he's never lost a game at Adelaide Oval. He's 5-0 at Adelaide Oval.
5-0 at Adelaide Oval. That's interesting.
Let's hope he plays this week.
Yeah. Can you come in this side this week? 5-0 at Adelaide Oval. Okay.
And
Is it Adam Hunter?
It's not Adam Hunter.
Okay.
Clue number 5.
He would have kicked more than 3 in a game. It's a silly
Oh,
question.
yeah.
That is silly.
Silly. Clue number 5. 32 disposals was the most he's ever had in his career. Now, they are your 5 generic clues.
Okay, so to put you in my mindset, I'm thinking never most goals 3, 32 disposals. I'm probably thinking like a halfback flanker. An initial thought I had was Wirra, but did he ever kick more than 3 goals? Because he was a swingman.
Yeah, I think he might have.
He might have.
I'm not sure.
I'm going to ask, is it Wirra?
It is not Wirra.
Oh, you gave me a look in your eye where I thought I had it there.
No. Question, clue number 6.
Yep.
He is a Chris Manwaring medalist. And for those of you who don't know, the Chris Manwaring medal is the best clubman at the West Coast Eagles. So he is a Chris Manwaring medalist.
I'm really worried I'm not going to get this at all.
I've got 2 I'm writing down.
Yep, I'm confident you'll get this, Oz. Clue number 7. He was taken in the 2003 national draft. So he was a young player in the grand final.
2000. Is it Sam Butler?
Oscar Allen, well done.
I'm very happy with that.
There you go, Goss.
First one.
Yeah, excellent stuff.
He's coming back to town.
Yeah, he is.
coming
Now,
back.
the other clues for those listening at home, so he was taken in the 2003 national draft. He's a South Australian from the Central Districts. He was the last player in that premiership team to still be playing football.
Yep.
And clue number 10, we've taken his job. We've taken his job.
Yeah.
He was one, as well as Will Schofield, that paved the way for us to be where we are. He got us on with Scoey.
Are we ever going to have a link up with Scully, or is that being put a line
coming.
through because Scully's
Lining us
speaking his mind, speaking the truth,
Being honest.
Yeah,
Yeah, we might have to have you step aside for that one, and me and Scully will just talk to fat. But but there you go. Well done, Sam Butler.
Sam Butler, a great man.
How many
Tremendous
stats did he
fella.
get in that grand final?
I couldn't tell you with any certainty.
Sam Butler, we actually ran into him when we were in Melbourne
Yep.
for when we played Sydney and Geelong, and we caught up with him after the game, and he is a ripping fella.
Oh, great fella.
He wasn't playing when we were here.
Yeah, but he was still working.
He was still working the club and saw him more than most of the players. And
Yeah, he was great.
Have a better relationship with him.
Wasn't he in the FIFA tournament in that first
He
year?
was, yeah.
there you go.
I think him and Mitch are
Yeah.
up there for best mates.
Yeah.
Yes, on his way back with Nat. Yeah, coming back. She's resigned
there-
from her position with the Commonwealth Games group.
Well,
on
there
the
you
way
go.
back to
There
Penrith.
you go.
Well done, Oz. Who are you, Sam Butler? Good.
Nice work by you.
2006 Premiership.
Pretty proud of
edition.
myself there, guys.
Yeah, very happy with that. Well done.
Solid. Good luck against Subiaco. Live stream will be taking place. Thumpalicious and yours
yeah.
truly will be calling the action on Saturday. Good luck on Sunday in Adelaide.
Thank you.
Let's get back on the horse. Let's get a win and just
Certainly.
do it for Nick Naitanui, but more importantly, do it for 4 premiership points. This has been Coast to Coast, thanks to the wonderful team at West Coast Health and High Performance, westcoasthealth.com.au.
Thank you very much. Good stuff.
See you guys later.